Yo, what is up, everybody? It's DFS Dudes back and my boy Roto Beast. He's smiling like crazy right now because we switched it up. I'm doing it. We're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Tuesday, March the 3rd. What's up, man?
Not much, man. What you up to, bro?
Before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, make sure you click the subscribe button below. This way you don't miss any of our live content that we produce on a daily basis. NHL coming tomorrow morning. We've got NBA, PGA, got a podcast up already for the Arnold Palmer Invitational. NASCAR coming this weekend. All kinds of content on the website on a daily basis. So make sure, click the subscribe button, enable the notifications, and go ahead and like this video so you don't miss any of the content we produce day in and day out.
Yeah, for sure, man. So how'd you do today in basketball?
Basketball was kind of iffy. Tournament-wise, I did all right. Our cash game lineup, it got in some entries. Some entries, it didn't. It was one of those nights of 50-50s were just close.
Right, for sure. Yeah, for me, pretty much broke even. Hey, I always take a break even night, just kind of move on. Next night, we start grinding. We got a nice little 8-game slate here, and I'm ready to jump in and talk some basketball.
NHL killed it again tonight. I will mention that. Our NHL, right? Chris Robin, Detroit Beastie, his cash line has been killing. One other thing that I didn't mention, make sure you guys, the Discord link for our free chat is below. If you haven't hopped into Discord yet, a lot of action in there. Lineups get dropped, updates, bonus stuff. So we're also in there every single day to answer you guys' questions.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm ready to jump into it. Hey, I'm loving the background, though, man. I think the background's definitely killing it. Just wanted to put that out there. Definitely think it's a good one today.
I wasn't sure if you were going to start singing like Viva Las Vegas or –
Hey, it makes me feel like I was on vacation, All right. So, hey, let's jump into it. So, first game that we'll talk about, we got Santa.
Wait.
Yes. So.
No. Why do I have San Antonio?
Oh, yeah, bro. Hey, starting off the video right, man. Excellent. So, hey, first game, we got San Antonio going into Charlotte to face the Hornets.
This was actually an entertaining game tonight. The San Antonio and Indiana game, there's a lot of points scored. I think it was way more entertaining than a lot of people thought it was going to be. But we have to wait and see what's going to happen, first of all, with injuries on the San Antonio side. We know LaMarcus Aldridge has been out. Expect him to continue to be out. And then, Pirtle's out. Just like we talked about on the morning shoot around, that there would be some guy that Pop would roll out there, and he did. He rolled out Drew Eubanks in the starting lineup. Eubanks was so impressive. He played 16 minutes and had 8.4 fantasy points. He was absolutely not relevant whatsoever. The play was Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles, another monster game, and you could continue to look at Trey Lyles. I just don't like the price tag is creeping all the way up to a mid 5,000 price range here. But, you look at the last two games where Pirtle got hurt and Aldridge is out, and then tonight where Pirtle was out and Aldridge is out, 47.8 fantasy points in 39 minutes, 35.2 fantasy points in 36 minutes tonight. So Trey Lyles will continue to be popular. It's a bigger slate. There's other value, but it's a really good spot for Lyles against a Charlotte team that just struggles to rebound the basketball. Outside of that, you would expect that DeMar DeRozan would be balling out of control without LaMarcus Aldridge, without Pirtle, with this guard rotation they have going on, but he's really not. He's playing a lot of minutes, and he's really a low usage player. Only 10
not tonight. The thing is he's really, it's really showing that he's not that like guy. Like he's a good player, but he ain't the number one guy like on a team. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I just think it's Popovich. I think it's the offense. Nobody's ever the guy there. I mean, Tim Duncan's the last guy that was the guy there, right?
Yeah. No, you're right.
I think it's more Popovich in the rotation and the minutes and all the crap they got going on. So, I mean, the two guys that are in play for me are DeRozan and Lyles, but, it's a back-to-back, and you have no idea how many minutes Derek White's going to get or Dejounte Murray. It's a mess, and I hate talking about it, and I'm really happy to move on to Charlotte.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, talking about Charlotte, first guy I'm going to talk about, you got Terry Rozier. Man, he continues to float right there in the low 6,000s, the high 5,000s, and he's playing the minutes. Definitely the production has been up and down, but overall, I feel he gives you a decent floor for this price tag. You need about 26 for value. Definitely he can get you right there with a little bit of upside. I'm not really too interested in Charlotte, to be honest with you. There's some other spots on this slate that I'm definitely going to be looking at. Just pretty much keep it simple. I like Rozier. Graham is a game time decision if he plays. I think you could possibly look at him if he's out. I like Cody Martin. I think he'll get a big time bump. And that's really where I'm at, man. Biombo, he's playing minutes, but his minutes are kind of up and down. If he's going to get 2 games ago, he played 30-plus minutes. And if he's going to get 30 minutes against a San Antonio team that, that has no size down there, I think that he definitely can have a pretty good game. We got him projected currently at a 5.5 value, so it's coming in looking pretty good so far. But definitely is early, though. But I'm ready to move on. Next game we'll talk about, we got Brooklyn going into Boston to face the Celtics.
And I'm going to go off the board when I start here. And there's a couple of guys I think you could possibly look at. And the first would be Garrett Temple. Garrett Temple's playing a lot of minutes. He's averaging over the last 5 games, 27.4 minutes. He's scoring 12.8 real points, and he's averaging 26.7 FanDuel points. And that's at a 4.2 price tag. Garrett Temple's a gritty type player, and he's coming off the bench. He's kind of filled a role in the rotation. So I think Garrett Temple's a good tournament play that you could look at, get you some value at the shooting guard position. And then Karis LeVert's too cheap. I mean, let's just go there a second. Karis LeVert at 6,300 is too cheap. He's had 2 kind of dud games, 25.1 against Atlanta, 23.6 against a pretty good defensive Miami team. But before that, against Washington, he had 62.7 fantasy points. I think this is a spot for LeVert. If this game's going to be competitive, LeVert's going to have to score the basketball. We've seen Dinwiddie play against Boston this year more than one time. He's had really good fantasy outings, 46.7, 44.8. And he had a kind of a dud game, the 23.7 game. That was kind of the Kyrie set, didn't play against his former team. A lot of hoopla around that. But, LeVert's played really well. So I'm sorry, Dinwiddie's played really well. So Dinwiddie, LeVert, those are the 2 guys I'm liking. And then I really like the under the radar play of Garrett Temple if he is going to play right now, as this is the game time decision.
On the Boston side of things, there's a couple guys that are really standing out to me. 2 guys that I really like. First guy I like Jaylen Brown at 6,200 going against Brooklyn. The guy has been playing very well. 5 straight games of at least 32 fantasy points, giving you a really solid floor. The minutes are off the chart. He's playing 36, 38, 35 minutes, 44 in the overtime game. So I think he's in play. One thing that I really like about him, you got Kemba Walker. He's looking like he's going to come back, but he's going to be on a minute restriction. You also got Marcus Smart looking like he's possibly going to miss the game tomorrow. So I definitely think, Jaylen Brown's going to get a ton of opportunity. We got Jason Tatum at 9,400. He's questionable as well. Going into tomorrow, I think that he'll play. It's more of an illness with him, and if he's going to play and be at full strength, I think him and Tatum can have really good games. So I like both of those guys. And then a guy that I've been playing all year, and I'm going to continue to play, is Tice at 5,600. The guy's playing some minutes. We like big guys going against Brooklyn. Definitely showing you some upside recently as well. Got you a 39 and a 45-point game with a bunch of really solid games in a row. So I think he's a guy you can look at as well. And that's really where I'm at. Kemba Walker, like I said, at 6,600, I think he'll come back and be on a minutes limit. So I really like Brown. I think he's a guy that I'm looking at big time tomorrow. Moving on, next game that we're going to talk about, we got Minnesota going into New Orleans to face the Pelicans.
Hey, man, I like this Minnesota team. If you look back, the trade deadline was on February the 6th. If you look from February the 6th until now, they've scored over 120 points multiple times. They've had 142-point output, 123-point output. They've scored a ton of points. This is like a better version of Washington, in my opinion. No defense and just want to get in a track meet with you. And you have to start with D'Angelo Russell, 8,500. Look, on this big of a slate, D'Angelo Russell, 8,500 is going to be the same reaction everybody else just had when I said his name, 8,500. But he's worth it if you look at what he's been doing, 55.7, 51, 44.1, 41.7. He's playing extremely well, and they're getting a lot of possessions. There's good value here as well with Malik Beasley at 5,500. Hernan Gomez is playing 28 minutes right now, averaging 24.72 over his last 5 games. Naz Reid, 4,600. Just some really good value here. You can't forget about James Johnson, averaging 24.18 fantasy points per game over his last 5 at a $4,900 price tag. His price has taken a little drop. And I think that, we like this New Orleans team. This is a super high implied total. I mean, this implied total is nuts. The spread's at 11, but the implied total is insane. And I think it's going to be a fast-paced game. It'll be a really fun game to watch with a lot of offense.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. It's really simple for me. I think you could play all 5 starters. for the Pelicans. I think you could even possibly look at Derek Favors at 5,300. He's pretty cheap. You only need 25 for value. He's averaging 27, almost 28 on the season, and he's got you a couple of really solid games in a row. He's on a pretty good little stretch right here. I wish his minutes were a little bit higher, but I think that you can look at him. But he's the least of them, though, man. Zion, 8,200. Brandon Ingram. I mean, think about the Pelicans, bro, is what they're doing outside of Favors. You got Zion, Drew Holiday. You got all Ingram and Ball. They're just playing 37 minutes a game. And then they're just kind of rotating a couple guys at the center spot. So they're getting a ton of production. So I definitely think all those guys are in play. And like I said, Derek Favors maybe in a couple of GPPs. Moving on.
The one thing to look at with this game, we don't have all the over-unders yet, but as of right now with the ones we do have, this game's 15 points higher than the next over-under on the slate, which is Washington, Sacramento at 232. This game, 250 over-under. And anytime you have that big of a difference, you have to get exposure to this game.
Yeah, for sure. No, I like this game a lot, for sure. Moving on, next game we're going to talk about, we got the Clippers going into OKC to face Chris Paul and the Thunder.
Just don't have too much interest in this game, to be honest with you. Paul George, I get it. There's a narrative there. He's 6,800. But Paul George just ain't doing much, man. I mean, I guess his price tag is going to get to a certain point where you have to play him. It's close right now. I mean, 6,800, you need basically 38 fantasy points to get 6x out of the guy. But he's only averaging 21.2 over his last 5 games. And you look at the point guard position. They bring in Reggie Jackson. He's getting minutes, averaging 19.4 minutes over his last 5. Patrick Beverley back in the fold. He's not doing anything. You look at the center position. Harrell's 5,700, playing 23 minutes, averaging 32 fantasy points over his last 5. He's close to a 6x figure, but this is a grind down type game. I just don't know if enough's there for Harrell. And the only guy that you could really bank on here is Kawhi Leonard. His price tag 9,100. He's averaging just over 4.5x on this price tag. It's a high price tag. We know he dominates the ball. He's their bulk scorer. This guy's hogging all the usage. Outside of that, I'm ready to move on because there's just not a lot to like on the. I mean, they're a really good basketball team. They're not a really good fantasy team to target.
Yeah, they're just so deep, and the rotation is so big right now. And on the OKC side of things, I mean, I'm not really too interested in playing OKC against the Clippers. Clippers are a pretty good defensive team. They got some really good lockdown guys. If you're gonna look at anybody on the Clippers, I mean, you can look at the guys that are all underpriced. You can look at Chris Paul. You can look at Schroeder, Gilgeous-Alexander, possibly in a revenge narrative type situation, playing for the Clippers to start his career. Gallinari at 5,800, possibly in play, and then Adams. I mean, but they're all GPP plays, not too much interest really in any of the guys. Moving on, next game we're talking about, we got the Golden State Warriors going into Denver to face the Nuggets.
Man, this is another one of those games where you've got a team that's really bad. They're playing on the road. We don't know, we thought Steph Curry was coming back Sunday. He's out for at least 2 more games. So, there's no Steph. I mean, what do you get excited here? Andrew Wiggins at 7,300 going against the Denver Nuggets. Draymond. I mean, right now, Draymond's so frustrated that first of all, you don't know if he's going to play. They're late in announcing if he's going to play, so you probably don't find out till after lock. And then when he does play, he's been so frustrated that he gets tossed. So, I don't know, man. There's not a lot to like here on this side either. There's some value you could possibly look at if the game blows out, like a Toscano Anderson or this guy Michael Mulder, who was on their D-League team that they just signed because they want 3-point shooting. I mean, they're deep dart plays. I just don't have too much interest in this side of it.
Yeah, I mean, on the Denver side of things, you obviously got to get some interest. They're going against a Golden State team who's a pretty fast-paced team. It's going to be up and down. I mean, I think you can look at a Jamal Murray, 6,900. The main guy obviously is Jokic. Golden State doesn't have a real center, somebody that can mess with Jokic. I definitely think he can have a good game here. Barton, 5,700 is coming in a little bit underpriced, and definitely he's been struggling a little bit. But the thing I do like is he's still playing 28, 29 minutes a game. So I think that he's possibly a GPP play. And then lastly, you got Paul Millsap coming in as a game time decision going into tomorrow. If he does end up getting ruled out, the guy that I really like is Jeremiah Grant at 4,400. The guy is already getting decent run as it is. And if he gets that starting role, he's going to play a bunch of minutes. So I think he's a guy that you can look at if Millsap's out. And, that's really where I'm at.
I think Grant's in play. Period.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, because he'll get some garbage time minutes as well.
Not even that. I mean, even when Millsap plays, he's still getting 28 minutes and averaging 30 fantasy points.
Got you. Got you. Moving on, next game we're talking about, we got Toronto going into Phoenix to face the Suns.
And here you just got to wait and see if we get news early enough before lock because you've got Van Vliet as a game time decision. You've got Ibaka as a game time decision. Marcus Gasol is out. If all three of those guys are going to be out, then there's obvious value on the table with Rondé Hollis Jefferson, with Terrence Davis, even Norman Powell. This is a really good spot for Siakam, in my opinion, for the simple fact that he's an athletic guy. He's an athletic big. He runs the floor. The Suns like to push the pace. This is a spot where I like Siakam. And then Kyle Lowry is very cheap. 6,900 on this price tag. This game, when it comes out, should be a pretty high over-under with these two teams. And I've said it all year, the Toronto Raptors are not the same team defensively as they were when they had Kawhi Leonard. So I think a lot of points could be scored in this one. I think it'll be a fun game. You've got to wait and see because this game could go either way. If Van Vliet does play at this price tag in this matchup, I absolutely love him. But look, game time decision for him and Ibaka. There's so many pivots that happen when those guys are out or if they're going to be in. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I mean, on the Phoenix side, there's a couple guys we could look at. I like Ricky Rubio at 6,400. He's been playing ball well right now. He's giving you a pretty good little floor. He did struggle his last game against the Warriors, but I mean, you look at what he did before that. He had 4 straight games, 43 fantasy points with a 65 burger in there. He's still at 6,400. Definitely think he's in play here. Devin Booker's the main guy. Whenever you talk about Phoenix, you talk about Devin Booker. I think once again, you can look at him. 7,500 is a very fair price tag. They got no Marc Gasol. You're looking like Ibaka may not play. It's a game time decision. I think this is a spot where DeAndre Ayton at 8,600 could definitely have a pretty good game here. Definitely a GPP play, but I do like him in this spot. I definitely think he can have a pretty good spot here. Last guy I'll mention is, Kelly Oubre has been out, so Mikal Bridges has been getting a bunch of run, playing, big-time minutes, 37, 38 minutes in 3 straight games. And he's giving you a solid floor right around 30 fantasy points with a little bit of upside. So I think he's a GPP play as well. And that's really where I'm at, man. It's Devin Booker, Rubio, Ayton are the main guys for me. Moving on.
Monsters against them, too.
Yeah, for sure. I like him a lot tomorrow. Moving on, next game we got is Philadelphia going into LA to face the Lakers.
Man, we've been talking about this guy all year long, and now he's a featured piece. And that's Shake Milton, 5,700. We've been playing him. If you don't believe us, go check the tape. Go back 2 months ago when nobody was talking about Shake Milton at 3,500 and we were playing him. You can play him here, coming off a career high without Josh Richardson. He had 39 points, 39 real points, 51 fantasy points against the Clippers. And we know the Clippers team is no joke. If you could do it against the Clippers defensively, you can definitely do it against our Lakers, who are not as sound of a team defensively as the Clippers are. Alec Burks, without Ben Simmons, without Josh Richardson, without Joel Embiid, Alec Burks is a guy that we've seen play the point guard. He can also play the 2 guard. And he's playing minutes. He played 25 minutes with Josh Richardson out, had 25.7 fantasy points. That's over a fantasy point per minute. It's a really good play as well. Al Horford, I'm not going to be playing Al Horford in this spot. The price tag is back up to 6,200. I think it's too expensive for Horford in the matchup against Anthony Davis. Tobias Harris, if the game's going to be close, they're going to have Tobias Harris score the basketball. He's going to have to play a role in this. The problem is he's playing LeBron James. And to me, at 7,300, I think there's other small forwards you can look at. But Milton and Burks are the 2 main guys I want to look at. You could look at a guy like Matisse Thybulle in this spot as well. But, for me, I'm keeping it simple. It's Burks, it's Shake Milton, and I'm moving on.
I'll be honest with you. One thing, though, I do like Al Horford in this spot. So it's looking like Anthony Davis is probably not going to play tomorrow. He sat out last game, and they said he's very, very questionable going. Usually he's like probable, but they said it's looking like he's probably going to miss tomorrow. If he's out, I do like Al Horford. He's getting the run right now, and I think it's still a fair price tag. On the Lakers side of things,
athletic enough, though, because if Anthony Davis is out, Kyle Kuzma is going to run the doors off Al Horford.
Yeah. I like it. But, on the Lakers side of things, I think if Anthony Davis is out, You know, you could look at LeBron. LeBron will get a big time bump. I think that you could look at Kyle Kuzma at 4,200. I think that he's, pretty much a must play. Played 35 minutes last game against the Pelicans. So we definitely got to wait on that news. Outside of that, I mean, that's really where I'm at, man. I mean, Rondo possibly, but Rondo has no effect on Anthony Davis. I really just think it's Kuzma. Do you think that you could look at Howard or McGee for a little bit more minutes right there? What do you think? Who would you kind of go with?
I personally think, I mean, this is Tuesday night. This is the 7 p.m. game, right? This is the TNT game. So, I'm assuming that this game could blow out, man. If Anthony Davis doesn't play, then the game could be a little bit closer. But I mean, still, you look at the Philadelphia side of things, and they don't have anybody else to run in there. I could see some extended minutes for Dwight Howard in the spot and possibly a double double.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of just throw this out there for whatever it is. Okay. So last game without Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee got 24 minutes, which was like a high for like a good while. He got to 30 fantasy points. I was looking at that, so I'm looking at the optimizer, just kind of see what it is right now. And currently, the optimizer has JaVale McGee projected at 30 fantasy points for 8 times value. And then they got Dwight Howard projected at 23 fantasy points for 5.4. So I'm assuming that JaVale McGee will probably get to start right there. I don't know, but I'm just throwing that out there. I was looking at that right now.
No, you're 100% right. Kuzma will get the start because McGee starts every game, but Kuzma would roll into the starting role, and then what you're playing is you play McGee if you think it's going to play, the game's going to stay close, and you play Howard if you think the game's going to blow out, and maybe if you're playing 150 lineups, you get a little bit of both just in case either scenario happens. But I definitely think both those guys get a bump.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Then, like I said, obviously, just want to repeat it one more time. I mean, obviously, LeBron's the best play without Anthony Davis there. And then Kuzma's a must start. If he starts, then he's a must start. Lock him in, move on. Final game of the night, Washington going into Sacramento to face the Kings. Talk about a track meet.
And this game just took place, right? I mean, didn't they play each other? No, they haven't played each other yet. Washington was out here and they played somebody else. But you have to look at Bradley Beal here, right? I mean, 10-3, it seems expensive for Bradley Beal, but this is going to be a track meet. And if you're going to be in a track meet, Bradley Beal's the guy you got to look at. I mean, you need 60 for him to go 6X, but he's had 60 fantasy points multiple times this season. And if you look at the run he's on, 67 and 62 in his last 2 games, and 67 against Utah is not really a joke, right? I mean, Utah's a grind down team. So 62 against the Warriors, 67 against Utah, 50 against Brooklyn. That's kind of the same type of team he's playing with Sacramento. So you have to like Bradley Beal in this spot. I do like Ryu Hashimura. I think this guy's a really good, young, talented player. But, I mean, he'd be a pivot off Kuzma if Kuzma starts. You can look at Shabazz Napier at 4,800. And then outside of that, Bertans playing 24 minutes a game right now, averaging just under 20 fantasy points. He gets a little bit of a bump in this one because he's not really a true big man that's playing for the Kings. Are basically playing with a stretch 3 and a stretch 4 on the floor at the same time. So that's really it. I mean, I know a lot of people like the Shabazz Napier play. He's averaging 22.7 fantasy points over his last 5 games in 25 minutes, right around 11 points, 4 assists, and two steals per game. So you could look at him if you need some value. But to me, it's Bradley Beal, man. I think this is a Bradley Beal type game where you could see him go for 60-plus fantasy points. Vegas thinks is going to be close. It's a higher over-under, and Bradley Beal's really the mainstay there.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I like a lot of these Kings going against this Washington team. You know, they've shown us time and time again that they don't like to play defense, and Sacramento likes to get out as well. So, guy Darian Fox is going to play tomorrow, 7,500. I definitely think that you can look at him. Buddy Hield at 5,500 is coming in as a very, very good play. I think you could look at Buddy Hield, same thing with Bogdanovich. You know, they're both playing 28 minutes. Both of those guys could definitely hit value and exceed value on these price tags in 28 minutes. So I like both of those guys. Even Harrison Barnes at 4,800 has been playing very well. I think he can get you 6X on this price tag in an up-tempo game like this. I think it suits him. Harry Giles has been playing very well. B. Jalika. You talked about them, how they play kind of with the stretch big there, and that's really where I'm at, man. You can even, I mean, Alex Lear's been getting a ton of run as well, but lately, but I'm not really going to be looking at him. My main guys, I like Buddy Hield, I like Fox, I like more of their perimeter guys getting out and running, just running up and down, running their lanes, making some buckets, bro. But hey, how you say it?
Belitza. The J is silent.
Yeah, I got you.
It wouldn't be the same if you said it right. That's the best part about it, right?
For sure. So, hey, man, I think that's really where we're at. So, tomorrow we're going to have a bunch of stuff on the site, multiple sports. Make sure and check it out, dfsgsheet.com. And make sure to turn on your notifications. This way you don't miss any of our videos. Check out that Discord chat. Links below. Hey, good luck tomorrow, guys. Peace out.